It's Miss Sassycat's Storytime. Meow. Tell me a scary story, but not too scary, by Carl Reiner. Illustrated by James Bennett. You know, when I was a boy, I lived in this neighborhood. A tall man moved into the house next door. I introduced myself, and he smiled and said his name was John Niwola. I like people who smile, but I didn't like Mr. Niwola's smile. It was a crooked, mysterious smile. I stood behind a tree and watched him carry a large box into his house. Something shiny fell out and rolled across the street. It stopped at my feet. I picked it up, shoved it in my pocket, and ran home. I couldn't wait to see what it was. It was a marble, a strange marble. I stared at it, and it stared back at me. I was a little scared. Well, not a little scared. I was very scared. I knew I would never fall asleep until I returned it. So that night at midnight, I got out of bed, dressed, and went over to Mr. Niwola's house. The house was dark except for a small light coming from the basement. I knelt down and looked in. I saw something covered with a cloth. It looked like something really creepy, so I shut my eyes. I leaned in closer, but before I knew it, the window flew off its hinge and I fell inside. Slowly, I opened my eyes, and there on a chair was that creepy thing covered with a cloth. I wanted to get out of there. Before I could get out, there was a voice behind me.
What are you doing here?
I turned and saw the smiling John Niwola. I was looking in to see if you were home, I stuttered. I'm your neighbor. We met earlier?
Yes,
he said suspiciously.
So why are you here now? Don't you know never to go into a stranger's house alone?
I know. My mom and dad told me that. I came to return this, I said, handing him the marble. He looked at the staring marble. Then he stared at me. Oh, it's a very interesting marble, I said.
Indeed,
he said, smiling his crooked smile.
I have many interesting things. Would you like to see them?
He asked.
Be very careful,
Mr. Niwola said, smiling that smile.
The stairs are steep. I wouldn't want you to tumble down.
He gave me a look that sent shivers down my spine. He took my arm, and I grabbed the railing. The stairs creaked, and the light got dimmer and dimmer. Mr. Niwola led me to his work table. Then he turned on a light. There on the work table were hundreds of staring marbles, all staring directly at me. I felt like I was being watched by hundreds of cold, dead eyes.
Do they look familiar?
He asked. Before I could answer, he grabbed two of the marbles. Then he picked up something weird from under the black cloth and ran up the stairs.
Don't move,
he shouted.
There's someone I want you to meet.
He laughed maniacally and slammed the door shut. I was trapped. Suddenly, the light went out. I heard a door creak. And then, strange, scary noises came out of the dark. Something with red beams of light shooting from its eyes was coming down the basement stairs. It came closer and closer. The hair on the back of my neck was sticking straight out. I finally saw it, and it was alive.
Are you scared?
The creature asked. Yes, I screamed as I ran to the stairs.
Don't you have a question for me?
The creature said, moving toward me. Yes, I said. What have you done with Mr. Niwola?
I ate him,
the creature laughed.
He is inside of me. Would you like to see him?
No! I yelled and ran up the stairs as fast as I could. The door was locked. I threw myself against it, but it didn't budge.
Stay!
The creature commanded.
Turn around and see what I have done to your neighbor, Mr. Niwola.
I turned and saw the monster grab his head and twist it. He struggled hard. He grunted. He groaned. It looked like he was trying to pull his head off. Yay! I pounded on the door and yelled, "Help! Help!"
Stay!
He screamed and started up the stairs. I couldn't breathe. The monster came closer and closer.
Get me out of here!
He shouted. No! I shouted back, pounding the door. I'm getting me out of here!
No!
The monster yelled, tugging at his neck.
You must help me!
What? I asked. This monster sounded strangely familiar now.
Unstick this darn zipper!
He screamed. So I grabbed the monster's head and gave a frantic pull on the zipper. And there, as the head split open, was Mr. Niwola, safe and sound. It was just a costume.
I scared you, didn't I?
He asked. I feel silly, I laughed, weak with relief.
Scaring people is what I do for a living, he said. Would you like to see my secret workshop?
Isn't this it? I asked.
No, he said. Come on. Be careful,
he warned, smiling his crooked smile. As I took my first step, he hit my shoulder and shouted,
Hey!
I screamed and went tumbling down, down, down. I landed hard on my bottom. Mr. Niwola came running at me. Don't come one step closer, I yelled, raising my fist. You pushed me.
I tapped you, he explained, to tell you that your shoelace was untied.
It was. I had tripped on my shoelace. Mr. Niwola laughed and let me put on one of the really scary monster costumes he made for a new horror movie. Wait till you see this monster. It'll give you nightmares forever. If you're too scared to look at this horrific monster, don't turn the page. If you're not too scared, turn the page. Boo! I scared Mr. Niwola. We both laughed. He let me keep the costume on and walked me back home so I could frighten my mom and dad. Boy, were they scared. Say, were you wondering if Niwola was Mr. Niwola's real name? I did too, so I asked him. Mr. Niwola smiled and said,
I thought a smart person like you would have figured out that Niwola is Halloween spelled backward.
Mr. Halloween, I said, laughing. I guess I'm not that smart. But you are. This was Carl Reiner's Tell Me a Scary Story, but not too scary. Happy Halloween, everyone! Thank you for watching Miss Sassycat's Storytime. Please click the links in the description below for more information. And hit that subscribe button before you go.